Is Bruno Fernandes the best January signing ever? All it took was some bad results and a bunch of fans gathering around Ed Woodward's home, and Manchester United were forced into coming out of an utter state of indecisiveness and pay big for Bruno Fernandes. The Portugal international had been under the radar for a long time, but the Manchester United hierarchy was not convinced whether the talented midfielder would be the answer to their many issues. As it turns out, Fernandes has become exactly the sort of player the club's fans had been demanding for a long time.
Bruno, he came from Sporting like Cristiano. He goes left, he goes right, make defenders look. He's our Portuguese magnifico.
The 26-year-old did not take any time whatsoever to settle in a new surrounding, and despite not wearing the captain's armband, is the team's true leader on the pitch. Take Alexis Sanchez as an example. The Chilean arrived at Old Trafford from Arsenal and was handed quite a lucrative deal. Sadly though, things did not turn out the way everyone had hoped, with the talented attacker simply struggling to showcase the form that once made him one of the most entertaining forwards in the Premier League. Today, Sanchez is playing at Inter Milan, no longer the all-conquering player he once was. That is why there is always a sense of pessimism every time a club makes a big money signing in January. As far as the myth about January signings taking time to settle goes, the former Sporting man has bucked the trend. Manchester United were, to put it simply, all over the place. Their attack lacked any sort of coherence, and let's not even talk about the fluidity within the various transitions of the game. With Paul Pogba sulking and always agitating a move to a different club, the Red Devils had no attacking outlet to get the best out of the likes of Marcus Rashford and Anthony Martial. To put simply, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's team was one of the most boring sides to watch. Quite rightly so, a lot of former players were critical of the manner in which the club was being run, and the club's transfer policy was at the center of this debate. Since Sir Alex Ferguson retired all those years ago, United had been struggling in the transfer window, linked with several players and managing to settle for alternative options. The likes of Angel Di Maria, Juan Mata, and the aforementioned Sanchez were brought to Old Trafford in order to add more creativity in the final third. Nothing really worked on a consistent basis. Coming back to United's struggles during the first phase of last season, the pressure had simply gotten too much. The club was already locked in negotiations with Sporting Lisbon over the transfer of Bruno Fernandes, but Ed Woodward was not willing to pay up for the Portugal international. The former banker doesn't get a lot of love from the club's fans, due to his inability to help the club secure crucial signings. And this time around, it had become too much for the fans to bear. Not showing any faith in the club's CEO's ability to get a deal over the line, fans decided to take matters into their own hands and gathered around Woodward's house, causing quite a ruckus. While it did not have any serious implications on the club's ability to sign Fernandes, it must have played some role in seeing the Red Devils eventually sign the player. Since then, it has become quite clear that Manchester United's reluctance to sign a player they stated they had been scouting for a while was unfathomable. But hey, all's well that ends well, right? Since joining the Red Devils, Fernandes has managed 27 goals and 17 assists in 47 appearances. The Portugal international has been a revelation in England, and we simply cannot find any recent example of a new player having that much impact on a team so quickly. For most of his time in England, Kevin De Bruyne has been the top creative force, assisting 72 goals in 164 games. The Belgian is definitely one of the finest players in the Premier League, but it is clear that he is now competing with Fernandes as the best creative player in the league. He has managed 31 goal contributions in the Premier League in the 2020 calendar year, which is a record that was previously held by Frank Lampard, 29 from 2009. The impressive part is that he did it in 11 months. However, that's not even the end of it. What is really unique about Fernandes' impact is that he was thrust into action and was pretty much expected to revive what we can all call a very dull squad. De Bruyne, on the other hand, always had a capable supporting cast behind him. The Belgian knew that Fernandinho's presence would allow him to focus more on helping the team in attack, while also knowing that in David Silva, Raheem Sterling, and Leroy Sané, he would have the right people with whom he had developed a great chemistry. Fernandes, on the other hand, was supposed to help the team in pretty much every department except for playing as a goalkeeper. Fred's form was suffering. Pogba was inconsistent. Scott McTominay had all the drive and commitment, but was never seen as a creative player, while Marcus Rashford was out injured. Thankfully though, Fernandes had enough ambition and passion to make the best out of what was on offer. And without even complaining, the Portuguese midfielder took it upon himself to help the team out of a tricky situation. So much was his confidence that he was already communicating animatedly with his teammates, calling them out for making mistakes, while confidently assuming spot kick responsibilities. In more ways than one, Fernandes has become the single talismanic figure who has proven to be enough for Solskjaer to not only hang on to his job, but also give fans a hope of one day finally ending the team's barren run of trophies. Naturally, such massive impact has led to many people comparing his arrival to that of another United legend, whose arrival resulted in instant success. We are not even going to talk about what Eric Cantona means to Manchester United. And if you don't, well, time to do some research, fellas. The Frenchman's arrival coincided with a sharp uptick in the team's form. All of a sudden, everything started falling into its place. The Red Devils were playing well, and Anthony Martial and Rashford discovered their goal-scoring instincts. Mason Greenwood, who had only recently arrived on the scene, also started chipping in the goals. Eventually, United qualified for the Champions League. Take Bruno Fernandes out of the equation, and you would probably be seeing a United side without Ole at the helm and no hope of playing in the Champions League for the foreseeable future. So yes, it does make a bit of sense when people compare the Portuguese midfielder to Cantona. In fact, it wasn't surprising to see the likes of Roy Keane and Paul Scholes, two men who have been very critical of the club ever since Fergie left, stand up and take notice of the impact Fernandes has had. Scholes has gone even as far as saying, "He is better than me. He's different to me. He scores more goals than me. He creates more goals than me." Roy Keane even stated that he's without doubt the most important player at Man United at this moment in time. The Portuguese connection is never going to evade these conversations either. Since Ronaldo left for Real Madrid, no player from the Iberian region has scored more than 10 goals in a single season, and Fernandes just needed half a season to get that done and become part of an elite company. The legendary forward advised Fernandes to enjoy his time at United, and boy, hasn't he done it in style? Although we'd never know for certain, it's fairly safe to assume that United would not be sitting on top of the league in January for the first time since Sir Alex Ferguson retired without their talismanic midfielder. Bruno set a new Premier League record when he became the first player in history to win the Player of the Month award 4 times in 1 year. Remarkably, Fernandes has now won the award as many times as the following players: Dennis Bergkamp, Thierry Henry, Frank Lampard, Cristiano Ronaldo, Paul Scholes, Alan Shearer, and Jamie Vardy. Again, he's only arrived in England a year ago. Just astounding. He might not be wearing the captain's armband, but Fernandes definitely is the team's leader on the pitch. When Harry Maguire was named the club's captain, there was a section of the fan base that wanted Fernandes to be given the opportunity. In fact, the player himself loved the idea of leading the team. When it was announced that he was going to lead the team during the Champions League group stage game against Paris Saint-Germain, the player's face lit up. Fernandes clearly knows what it means to represent United. From his reaction towards Pep Guardiola to his infuriation at Victor Lindelof when his negligence resulted in the team crashing out of the Europa League last year, the 26-year-old carries the hopes of the club on his shoulders every time he steps on the pitch. He might be a very feisty character and might even annoy his teammates at times, but a steady flow of goals and assists means that he is entitled to throw his weight around. Not many players can ever understand what it means to represent this proud institution, and Manchester United and its global fan base should consider itself very lucky that in Bruno Fernandes, they have a player who is willing to put it all on the line for his team. Having someone like Fernandes in the dressing room also helps the younger players, since they now have a senior member of the squad to idolize. Fernandes looks like a United captain. He talks like one and behaves like one as well. And he does all that while keeping his feet firmly on the ground and never gets carried away, no matter how much of an impact he has had on the team. But of course, there's also that rational fear of how the team would fare if their talismanic leader is unavailable for a few games. The Red Devils have become far too reliant on him to pull the strings in every attacking move. Going forward, the club would need someone else to share the burden with him, because at the end of the day, Fernandes' performance levels are going to be impacted. And when that day comes, it would be very useful to have another consistent player who is there to help out the team. But for now, though, the club can just continue enjoying the benefits of signing a player they were so late in signing, as they head into a crucial phase of the season, where a few more wins might see them get a little closer to finally lifting a league title for the first time since they bid adieu to the great Scotsman. For more interesting videos about your favorite footballers, keep following.